Hey, it's Josh with Portal, and this is our proposal deep dive video. If you're new to Portal, you haven't had a chance to sit down with someone on our team and get a tour of Portal, but maybe you want to go at your own pace, this video's for you. If you've been using Portal for a while, but you're not sure if maybe there's some features that you're not using yet and you want to learn more about how they work, this video's for you. We're constantly developing new features in 2-week sprint cycles, which means we're always releasing new features and updated functionality onto Portal. Make sure you subscribe and click the notification button on our YouTube channel so you can get notified whenever we have new videos about new features that we release. Before we get started, just a heads up, I'm going to be building a residential focused audio video quote today. I think of AV as the universal language across all technical fields, just because everybody knows what a TV is. You know, you put it on the wall with a mount, HDMI cable. So you might be a security integrator or you might be an MSP IT. The principles, the functionality still applies to whatever business that you're in. All right, let's build a proposal. So the first thing I'm going to do, when you sign into Portal, you land right in the catalog. So we're just going to look up a product in the catalog. This Origin in-ceiling speaker. And I'm just going to add it to a proposal. Now I'm creating a new proposal. The proposal that loads here is the most recent proposal that I was working on. This is the sample proposal, which we load onto your account when you first sign up. If I click this little arrow to change it up, I'm going to create a new one. And we're going to call this the Daryl Philbin project. And when I create a new proposal from here, it's going to allow me to create some areas. So I'm going to create a living room. This is a residential project. And I'm also going to add a kitchen area. Now I'm not going to put in-ceiling speakers in the living room, so I'm going to uncheck that box. Just going to put a pair in the kitchen. And we started building a proposal. Next up, we're going to do a Sonos amp to power those speakers. Here we are. And this is the proposal I'm working on. Now, I'm going to put this amp in the living room. I'm actually going to wire the speaker wire back into the living room. So we'll put that in the living room. Next up, I need that speaker wire I just mentioned. So we'll look for some 16.2 speaker wire. And I like wire path. This one looks good. I'm going to add this to the proposal. Now this is a 500-foot spool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to the kitchen for the speakers, but I'm going to do 0.2, which is 100 feet. Whoops. There we go. And then for that living room, I'm going to do a TV system with a sound bar. So let's add a Sonos Arc. In the living room. And let's look up a Samsung frame. Start with a 43-inch here. And let's just grab this one. Put it in the living room. Now, as I add products to proposals, I'll sometimes get suggestions here. And these are based on industry as well as my activity on proposals. So in this case, these are products that are commonly sold alongside that Samsung TV. And I can add those to the area with this quick click button right here to add to an area. So as the more you use Portal, as you add products into proposals, you can add accessories and things like that with the click of a button here. I'll show you how to automatically add accessories with products in a little bit yet, but these are just recommended suggestions based on what's commonly sold alongside this product that we just added. All right, let's dive into the proposal. So here's the proposal I created. I'm assigned as the salesperson. I'm the only one on my account right now. So, but if I had somebody else, a team member, and I wanted to build a proposal for them, I could assign it to that person. This is the proposal expiration. So right now, the proposal is not set to expire. The problem with this is if I send it off to the client and they decide they need to wait for whatever reason, they might wait 6 months and then come back into the proposal, and that pricing will be old at that point. So I want to protect clients from waiting for 6 months, coming back into the proposal and seeing old pricing. So I'm going to set this to expire 30 days after I submit it. And then you can also set your company default from here as well. They will, if the customer does view it after it expires, they'll get a landing page that says that the proposal expired with your contact information to reach out to get an updated version of the proposal. And then we'll add the client. And then we just need to add the address. All right, so you see now we have this new section in here for the proposal history. We'll come back to this section, but everything, all the information that's happening on this proposal is going to happen inside, it's going to be referenced inside this proposal history section. So we'll come back to that. The first area is the first, I should say, section of the proposal is the cover page and the About Us. Cover page, you can load your own image. We've got some stock photography in here that you can use. Your company logo, which will show up at the top of the proposal. You can save that on your account for anybody who's building proposals. And then we've got a text editing area here where you can drop in, you can do any kind of, bold, underline, italics. You can edit the size of the font. You can also put links in here. You can attach files. So you can do PDFs if you want to do design or some sort of documentation that you want to attach with this proposal. Embedded images, I mentioned that earlier. You can do embedded videos as well. So you can upload a video. You can link to a YouTube video. Or you can use Loom. Loom is a software service that we actually use on our team, but it's a quick recording service that records instantly when you click the button and then saves a link to that video, which is instantly available to your clipboard. So you can drop in a Loom video here, and we call that personalized videos. So you can record a video explaining the project to your customer in the scope of work section, for instance. In this case, this is the About Us. So this is what really separates you from the competition. Think of this as a mini website for you to talk to the client about why they should use you. So you can set this up initially, then create it as, save it as your company default. And then it'll preload like this one did for me here. Next section is similarly, this is a text edit section. This is your scope of work. This is the project description. This is where I would record that personalized video, thank the customer for allowing you to work with them on this project. And then any specifics about the project you can drop in there as well. The proposals in Portal are laid out by area. An area in a residential application could be, rooms in a house. In a commercial application, could be, sports bar main room, could be a conference room, something like that. And then the line items are included down below in the area. And we can rearrange our areas if we want. Just click Arrange Area. You could just drag and drop them. But this is the order I want them, living room and kitchen, so I'm done there. You can also drag and drop products to rearrange the products. In this case, I want that TV up top, so I'm going to move it there. And you'll notice there's a product underneath this TV attached to it. I'll get into why this installation came in automatically with this TV. You may have noticed something earlier, but we'll talk about how to do that. But you can take any product and attach it to another product by just dragging it up underneath. So, and then I want this on top of the, we'll do the sound bar above the installation. So these are now attached to this TV. Another option we have in terms of how we present this to the customer, well, this TV did not come in with a price, so I just need to add my sell price. There we go. And then if I click combine prices, it will take all of the prices of everything that's attached to this TV, and it'll create one single line item combined price. So we'll keep it like that for now. Additionally, any products that have published MSRPs, this is here for reference, so you can see what the MSRP is on this product. The other thing that we do is if you discount it from MSRP, we show you that amount. We do a little tag here that says that you've discounted it by $40. And then you have the option in the customer view, when there is a discount on MSRP, it will show the customer that they're getting a discount off of MSRP. That's an optional view setting that you can turn on for each proposal. So next, we're going to add some labor. I know some came in automatically with the Samsung, but I'm just going to click Add Labor. Labor is a section in your catalog, so you can also go into the catalog and create your labor items there. I've already got this labor item in my catalog, so I'm going to add it into the area. And then next, I'm going to add a custom item. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we have a custom item section here. So I've created some custom items already. This is a great example of a custom item, which is miscellaneous pieces and parts. And if I open that up to show you what it looks like, I can load an image here for that product, so it always shows up on that line item on the proposal. And I've set my sell price to actually be dynamically calculated based on the area total. So this is an option. You can set it as a fixed dollar amount on any custom item, or you can set it as dynamically calculated. So right now I have it as 5% of the entire area that it's in, but you can do this as a percentage of the entire proposal amount. You can do it as a percentage of the parts in the proposal, labor, and you can use those same factors in the area versus the entire proposal. So you can set up some custom items as being dynamically calculated based on those settings. So I'm going to keep this as 5% of the entire area. You can also set up your cost, and this is used to calculate your profit margins. So I have it calculated based on 50% of whatever the sell price is when this comes in. We'll talk about recurring service in a little bit, but this is where you can set a custom item as a recurring service. And you can also make it tax exempt by default here. So we're going to add it to the area and return to the proposal. So here's my miscellaneous parts, connectors, materials, and it's calculated based on 5% of the area total. All right. Next, we're going to go into explain why this installation came in automatically with this TV. So if I go back into my catalog, well, actually, there's two things I want to show you here. If I go into my catalog and look into TVs, you'll notice that now that I've selected this TV to add to the proposal, it automatically becomes a favorite. And this is how we start seeding the catalog with the products that you commonly spec to make them easier to find in the catalog. So I'm going to open this product and actually look at the product page. And when I scroll down here, this is the product that I added. This product has an installation that's an attachment, which means it comes in automatically when I add that product. And you can do this with other items as well. We can add some accessories here. So if I click Add Item and I want to create an accessory that always comes in with that TV, let's say it's this mount, I can add that as an attachment. And now whenever I add this TV to a quote, the installation as well as the mount come along with it. And you'll see I'm being asked here when I add a product as a default attachment in labor or accessories, it's going to ask me if I want to make that the default for all products in this category. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to make it a default for all TVs. And then it does note that here. So I have installation now and this strong mount attached by default for all TVs in this category. You can also make it combine. We looked at combining the pricing with the parent item. You can do that automatically if you want when you add this product onto proposals. You also, when you're building attachments for any product, this is a new account, right? So if you're brand new to Portal, your company doesn't have any activity to go off of, but we do look at your company activity to do suggested attachments. So what you've attached maybe before with this product, but you can also see what the industry is including and speccing with this product and attaching to it. So this is commonly attached to this product, and these are commonly sold alongside. And so this is a quick way to build up your auto attachments. Auto attachments is available on the premium and higher plans. All right, so next we're going to do an option for the customer in an area. So I'm going to go into the living room, and I'd like to present Daryl with the option to upgrade to a let's say a larger version of this TV. So what I'm going to do is you can do options in areas. You can do up to 3 options in one area. And so I'm going to click add area option here from the area menu. And it's going to ask me if I want to copy everything that's in this option 1 that I'm looking at now in this area already into this new option 2, or if I want to start with a blank slate. I'm going to copy everything into option 2 so I don't have to rebuild that option because it's going to look very similar. And then I'm going to go to this item and I'm going to replace it. And we're going to replace it with a QN75 SO3. We'll replace it with this item. The arc is still good. And when we didn't originally have an auto attachment being the mount, so we do need a mount. So let's add a mount to here. I'm going to add that SMTL. And actually, let's add the XL since it's a larger TV. And then I'm going to add the SMTL to the smaller area. So let's return to the proposal. And here we've got this mount now that we added to the bottom. We're in option 2, as you can see. So I'm going to delete that smaller mount because we don't need it for the larger TV. And then I'm just going to move this up and we'll attach it. And then in option 1, I added that smaller mount. This is a big reason why we do options in areas, because as you change products in areas to give customers options, there are often domino effects as to how that changes other parts that are related. So we found the best way to do it is by area, and then you can create up to 3 options in an area. Customer can click between them. I can also update my client description, which I didn't really talk about yet, but the client description is another text edit area where you can, again, attach PDFs, do video recordings. If you have a video from Sonos that's on YouTube that you want to share with your customer that they can watch right as they're looking at the proposal and reviewing it, you can embed that video here. In this case, I'm going to call out option 1 as being or I'm on option 2 here, so let's say option 2 as the upgrade to this perfectly sized 75-inch beautiful TV. And let's make this a little bit bigger. And bold it. And then I'm going to drop that into this area so it looks similar, but we're going to say small. I want them to upgrade, so I'm going to call it a small 43-inch frame TV. All right. So now as the customer clicks between them, they can see the options called out. All right, let's get back to that recurring service I mentioned. And I'm going to add an item, which is going to be a custom item. And I've got this warranty item that I created, and I put this image in here so it shows up like that on proposals. This is set up at, well, this is our standard warranty, so I'm not charging for it. So let me go back to my custom items, and here's the extended warranty. This is where the client actually pays. And this is a annual, let's say this is an annual extended warranty, and I can set it up as a recurring service here. What that does is when I add it to the area, we'll see that it's broken out separately. In your view, it does not include it in the area subtotal. It breaks it down here in a recurring services note. And then in the financial summary, it breaks it out separately as well. And it breaks it out for the customer too. So anything that's set up as a recurring service does not get included in the proposal total. It's broken out separately. And it's set up that way so that you would invoice the customer separately once they accept the proposal, finish the project, and you're ready for those recurring services. I'm going to remove it from here. And actually, let's do it this way. Let's create another area called warranty and service. And let's add our standard warranty. And then I'm going to create an area option, a blank area option, and I'm going to add the service, recurring service. So now the customer can choose between our standard warranty for $0, which is included in the project, or the upgraded extended service. This would be like a service agreement. I know I set this up as an extended warranty, but in this example that I'm doing here, this would be like a service agreement that you want the customer to choose from. And then you can put additional information on what this means, maybe attach some standard documentation that you have on your extended service plan. You can do that in the client description. You'll notice under the client description, we've got installer description. It's a similar text field that you can add here that will only show up to installers. We have a downloadable installer PDF, and these notes show up to them. So in this case, let's add an installer note here. And we're going to tell them that there is an existing chase from the basement up to the second floor that we can use to run wires. And that's a note for my technicians. All right, this proposal's starting to come together. Another thing you can do with options is if you're not sure if the customer wants to do an entire area, I can create an option in the kitchen, a blank option, which is to opt out of kitchen zone. And we'll make that a little bit bigger. And we'll say kitchen zone includes a pair of speakers. And actually, what we'll have to do is, even though the amp is getting installed in the living room, they don't need that amp if they are opting out of the kitchen, since this amp is powering the kitchen speakers. So I'm going to move the amp down into the kitchen area, but I'm going to make a note. I'm going to add a client note. So this shows up on this individual line item for the client for this project. So the note for the client is this will go in the furniture in the living room. And you've got that note there for the customer. Now, if the default catalog description for every item comes in when you add products to proposals, but you can actually create your own. So if we want to remove part, make it a really simple description, ceiling loudspeaker, I can set that as my company default for my catalog, click save, and then every time I add this product to a proposal in the future, it'll use this company version of the short description for the customer. All right, so this is looking pretty good. Financial summary, again, breaks out any recurring services over here on the left. We've got parts and labor are always broken out on the proposal with a subtotal and sales tax. You can add a parts discount, and this can be a fixed dollar amount, or you can make it variable based on the parts total. I'm going to keep a $0, no discount for now. And sales tax is auto-calculated based on the customer's address. We use a service that will dynamically calculate sales tax based on their address. You can actually change this to calculate sales tax based on your company location if you want, or you can set it up manually. We're set up to do dynamic, so we don't have to think about it. All right, the next section is the payment schedule. You can add a description to the payment schedule if you have any kind of specific payment terms that you want to put in here. But we have a dynamically calculated payment schedule that you can build that's unique for every project, or you can create a company default. So on this project, I'm going to ask for 100% of parts up front when they accept the proposal. And then I have one more payment which happens at the end when the job is complete, and that is the outstanding proposal balance. I don't have much labor that I added into this one, so it's heavy on parts. You can adjust the percentage, you can make it a fixed amount, and you can, if it is dynamically calculated, you can choose what it's calculated based on. So parts total, labor total, or the entire proposal. What's really nice about this is if you have options in the proposal, you're not sure what the proposal total is going to be, or parts or labor total are going to be, until the customer actually chooses their options. So you can't really present them with a dollar amount ahead of time, or build that into the proposal. So this will dynamically calculate these amounts based on the options as the customer chooses them, and then present them with the correct deposit payment and a payment request, which we'll talk about in a second, when they sign and accept the proposal. I'm going to save this payment schedule. Now, we then connect to that payment schedule payment requests. So you can see both of these payments that I set up in the payment schedule are reflected in sort of ghost or future payment requests down below. The first one, the deposit payment, since we set it up to be due upon proposal acceptance, it will be auto-created. So it will create that payment request when the customer signs and accepts the proposal. You can also disable the auto creation, but you don't want to do that because you want to get the ball rolling on them paying you right away. I'm going to go ahead and create the request now just to show you that for payment requests, then you can include your own payment instructions, and you can also connect your own payment processor into Portal. So we integrate directly with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop, so Intuit Payments. Stripe payments as well as Square payments. So if you have a Square, Stripe, or QuickBooks account and you want to leverage that payment system with your rates there and everything else, you can connect those. And when the customer signs and accepts the proposal and they're immediately presented with this deposit payment, they'll have instructions, wire transfer, check, Zelle, Venmo, whatever you want to put in here, plus whatever your integrated payment processor is, they can they'll immediately be presented with the ACH and the credit card option as they accept it. And I'll show you some other interesting things about that in a little bit. So we do the profit analysis. So because we manage your product data in the catalog, we know what you're buying it for and your costs on items, we can calculate your profit. And we split up your parts and labor so you can see the profit separately, and then the total combined profit on the job. And then your project terms, if any of these sections are blank, so if I left this section blank, it just would not appear to the customer. This is where you would load your terms and conditions and any contract language that you need to have in the proposal. Again, this is another text editor, so you could attach PDFs if you wanted to for reference, or you can drop your entire terms and conditions in here as well. I'm going to leave that blank, and this proposal is looking pretty good. Now, there's one more thing I want to do, which is he just called me this morning and wants to add an outdoor area. And what I want to show you here is how to quickly clone from other proposals into new proposals. This is a really fast way to build a proposal if you have, let's say, a template proposal that you can build that has systems already in it the way you like to lay them out. And so you can take any proposal. So let's go into my list of proposals and we'll look at the Dwight Schrute proposal. And he has an outdoor area that I think is pretty much exactly what Daryl asked for. So, and that's the garden. So there's a couple ways to copy and clone things into other proposals. First of all, you can use this checkbox, or you can checkbox specific items and their attachments and send just what you've selected to another proposal. So that's a quick way to jump in if you have a similar project that you did before and you want to start copying items and their attachments and how you set things up in that proposal. You can do that pretty easily here. The other thing you can do is take an entire area and clone that whole area, which is actually what we're going to do here. So I'm going to copy the garden, and we'll just call this the patio in the Daryl Philbin project. We're going to clone everything that's in this area on this other proposal into Daryl's quote. And then the other thing that you can do is you can clone an entire proposal. So if you have, a template proposal, or if you have a similar job that you did that you want to start with everything pretty much the same, you can go up to the proposal menu and you can clone the entire proposal into a second version. So let's jump back into Daryl's quote just to make sure that all came in okay. Yep, here's the patio, and I actually still want the warranty service or extended service at the end. So let's arrange our areas. Put the patio after the kitchen, and we're good there. All right, some additional things that are available on the proposal from the proposal menu. We've got client view settings. So this is where you really start to, this is where you control how the proposal looks to the customer. There's some things that you can hide and show here. It's all in your control in terms of you can hide line item prices on parts and they'll just see the proposal total. You can hide the model numbers. If you don't want to show them which models that you're using, you can hide that information. You can use a simple layout, which looks more like an invoice type layout. We use this by default for change orders, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But you can switch it over to simple layout and it removes some of the unnecessary sections inside of the proposal. You can hide the labor line items and then have just a labor sum at the bottom of the proposal. Or you can hide the labor total in the financial summary section, so it just has a project total, which includes the labor. And then there's a few other things. This is the MSRP discount highlight that I mentioned earlier, where you can choose to show to the customer that they're getting a discount on anything that's below MSRP. You can hide images, and then you can hide area totals as well if you want to do that. And then you can also set the company defaults. If you have a pretty standard way you want to present products on proposals, you can set that as your company default. So that's the client view settings. And then the next thing I wanted to show you is some of the downloads that are available to you. So we've got a PDF version of this proposal, an installer version. So the installer version removes all of the pricing and also includes those installer notes that we mentioned earlier. The invoice version is a really simple version of this proposal that's line itemed and it says invoice on it. So if we download the PDF invoice, and while we're downloading that, we'll open it up. So the first page includes a summary invoice, and then there's area details after that. So you can download this, send it off to the client if they want to see an invoice. And then some of the other downloads are warehouse pick list. So this organizes all of your products by system and similar products. And if we open that, you can see then you can print this out and keep it back in the warehouse. And then you can note whether it's in stock, how many you need to order, when it's received, and then whoever takes it with them to the job site can sign it out and say how many products that they've taken with them. So this is the pick list for this job. And then we've got some CSV downloads. So these are basically spreadsheets in a couple different formats that you can do. If you want to take them into some other piece of software, import them, Google Sheets for project management or something like that, you can download those here. And let's see here. What else do we want to look at together? We're not going to order parts yet because we haven't even sent the customer the proposal. We looked at cloning. Let's preview the client version of the proposal, see what it looks like to the client. We've got a quick link to view the view settings, which we looked at a second ago, the client view settings. But here's essentially what the proposal looks like to the customer. Here's our cover page, the proposal name, your contact information, which it'll pull from your settings, and then here's the About Us section. Here's the areas and items. Remember, we combined the pricing on this, so it goes up into here, and I'm showing the customer the discount. So I didn't combine pricing on the other option, so I'll have to go in and fix that. Forgot to do that. But this is what the customer version of the proposal looks like. All right. So when we're ready to email and submit this proposal, there's a couple checks that happen in the background. The first check is we make sure that there's sales tax set. If you haven't set up sales tax yet at all in the system, or if your default is not auto-calculated based on the address, it'll make sure that you set your tax rate correctly. And then the second thing we look at is your profit margin. And the system is set by default to check your profit margin against a 40% target. So what happens is if it's below 40% on your profit margin on the overall project, you'll get a warning that says, hey, this project is getting less than what you have set as your default that you want for profit. Do you want to make any changes before you submit it? You can then go into your settings actually in Portal and change that 40%. You can take it up to 50, take it down to 30, whatever you want. And then every time you submit a proposal, it will check against that. So we're ready to send this off. You can add anybody you want to copy on this. You can add here in the CC field, just separate it with a comma. And then you can write your own email to the customer. Whatever you want to put in there, you can then set as your default for proposals. So if you have a standard format that you want proposals to go out, most of the time I think this will be essentially a custom email that you write for the customer, but that option is there for you. So we're going to go ahead and submit this proposal to the customer. And now that we've submitted, you see we're starting to populate some information in this proposal history section. You can see some of the things that I set up originally. I can see the versions of these PDFs that we created and downloaded a minute ago. And I can see the submitted version with my email information. So I can come back and reference this later. If we want to talk about versioning proposals, if the customer comes back to you and wants to make some changes, you come back into the proposal and make the changes. As you make changes, when it's in this status we've just submitted to the customer, if I make changes on the proposal, if the customer is looking at the proposal at the same time, they will see those changes happening in real time. If you don't want them to follow along with your changes, let's say they have a list of things they want updated and you want to work on it for a little bit before you send it back out, just move it back into draft status from the proposal menu. Change status, move it back to draft. And then when I'm ready, I'll resubmit the proposal. And then you'll get that new version inside the proposal history. What's cool about that is it naturally creates this versioning system that you can follow along with in your proposal history. And there's a revert functionality in here on each submitted version. So every time you submit a new version of the proposal, you can revert back to that version right here from the proposal history section. You can also manually grab the link. So the customer is going to get an email. It's aliased from your email address. So if they reply to that email, it goes directly to you. And you can just email back and forth with the customer. If you want to manually create an email from your email client and send that to the customer, let's say you want to do something else, you want to contact them directly instead of actually submitting it through here, you can go in here and manually change the status to submitted, and then you can copy the client link. And when you copy the client link, you can actually create a specific URL based on who you're going to send it to. So if you want to send it to two different people, but you want to know who opened it, we track that by this URL, and you can create two different versions. Additionally, I sort of got ahead of myself, but if I copy, well, let's copy the version, the client link that went out with the submitted proposal. And if the client opens that link, we'll start to register here when they view it. And you'll get notified when your customer's looking at the proposal. It's one of our most popular features. Dealers love seeing when their customer's looking at the proposal. So you know if they looked at it yet, when to follow up with them, and you can see who opened it based on the specific link. All right, so we did cloning, we did payment schedule, PDF downloads, client version preview, we submitted the proposal, we talked about versioning. Let's look at the client experience. So this is what the client sees. This is the actual client URL. They can request changes from you. They can click to accept the proposal. In this case, they won't be able to accept the proposal yet because they haven't chosen their options. So if we scroll down the proposal, here are the two options. So they can flip back and forth between them and they'll see the price change in real time in the area. And then they can choose the option. So he's definitely going to go with the upgrade. In the kitchen, though, we're going to opt out of the kitchen. Whenever they choose an option, they have to confirm that they're declining the other option. And then this looks good, this outdoor area. And we're going to go with the service plan. So we'll choose that option as well. Customer can download a PDF version of this for reference. Here's the payment schedule. This all looks good, so we're going to accept it. Full name, Daryl Philbin. And we're going to accept the proposal with the digital signature. Now, the next step, because I had that payment request ready to go, is to make that deposit payment. So we immediately present them with the opportunity to make a payment. And when they click View Payment Request, they're taken to a secure payment page. So in this case, I have an example where I've connected my payment processor, and now they've got payment instructions, but they also can pay ACH and credit card. And the cool thing about the credit card option is that inside of Portal, when you make this connection into your payment processor, we allow you to add a convenience fee for credit card transactions. So for the convenience of being able to pay right when they accept and sign the proposal, they can opt in to use credit card, and then that convenience fee is calculated based on the credit card fees that you put in with whichever processor that you're using. And you can also set that to be automatically presented based on a fixed amount. So in your settings, you could say if it's over $4,000, add the fee on top, and then the customer sees what that fee is when they choose to pay that deposit. They'll also get an email. You may have seen that I'll pay later button, which the client could pick or could choose. They'll get an email with a link, and they can click through that link to pay later if they want. But the idea is to, instead of you getting a notification that they've accepted the proposal and signed, and then the next day or two, somebody on your team maybe sends out a payment request or an invoice with a payment attached to it from QuickBooks, you don't have to do all of that. It's done automatically as part of the acceptance, which is the client's expectations as well. Look, I want to get this paid. I want to get this project started. They're excited. They're ready to go. So we want to make that process as quick and easy as possible. All right. So next, and probably the last piece of our proposal deep dive, is going to be change orders. So now we get feedback in real time on the proposal status. So I just accepted, the client just accepted it. So I get that notification. And in fact, in the proposal history section, we can see that it was accepted, and we can download that PDF record. So that's always here for us to be able to download. And then what we can do is so typically what happens on a job is, so now the customer's accepted it. They're ready to go. They've accepted the version that we sent it. And let's say we get out to the job site and we need to make a change. That never happens, right? So let's scroll down and find something we need to change. Let's say this mount, they want to do an articulating arm mount, okay? So they decided the flat mount. They want to see this TV in the kitchen sometimes when they're cooking, so they need to pull it out and turn it. So we're going to replace this item with an articulating arm mount. But the proposal was accepted. So when the proposal gets accepted, it's locked for editing. You don't want to change this proposal. What we want to do is create a change order. So I'm going to click create change order. We're going to call this mount upgrade. And in this case, it's client facing because the client's going to approve it and there's a cost associated with that upgrade. So anything that the client needs to approve needs to be client facing. If it's swapping out some parts here and there, maybe you needed a longer HDMI and you don't want to charge the customer because you didn't measure correctly or something like that, but your team needs to track what's different from the original proposal. That could be an internal change order just for reference later. So this one's client facing. We're going to save that, call it the mount upgrade. And then it's asking us what we're replacing with. So we're going to click mounts and we're going to find an articulating arm mount to replace it with. And now on that accepted proposal, we can see the original mount is still there, right? Because we want to keep that signed version accurate. But we've now got a tag that takes us to the change order. I was messing around with some other change orders, so that's why the number 3 is here. But if we click that, it'll take us into the change order. Now, the change order is basically like a simple scaled down version of a proposal. They're attached to the proposal that you created it for. And as you can see, we're doing a negative quantity. So this is the mount that we're replacing. And then here's the mount that we're replacing it with. And then you can see the price difference between the two. And if we preview the client version, this is that, going back to that simple view that I mentioned earlier. So because they're already doing business with you, they accepted the original proposal, they don't need the About Us section. We make this a much simpler view of the proposal so they can get in, understand what the changes are, and accept the proposal. So I'm going to mark this accepted. And then go back into the original proposal. And we'll see now that we have a change order section. In the change order section, I've got a couple statuses. These are in progress. These are change orders that are open in draft status that I'm working on. Internal change orders will go into here. And then this one's accepted, so it shows up here as well. What you'll also notice is that the original proposal, that total is unchanged. It's still this amount that the customer accepted. Now that we have a change order that's accepted with the costs associated with it, we now have a project total that takes those accepted change orders plus the proposal total to get a project total. And then you can use that project total. Most dealers, I've found, like to get the customer to accept the change order and pay for that change order when they accept it. If you don't want to do that, then you can always just create your payment request from the main proposal and combine what they owe from change orders to what they owe from the original project. And you can see all of that here and manage that. But the really cool thing about change orders is we make it really clear for your customer what changed over time. So if I pop back into the customer view, this is the customer view of the proposal. You can see now that the change order shows up, right? So they can see the change order. They can click to view the change order. It's accepted. And they can click this highlight changes button. And what the highlight change button does is if they go into that area, they can look back through this proposal. They will see exactly the changes that were made, that they accepted, and it's color coded by change order. So if they have multiple change orders, you can have multiple colors here, and the customer, as they scroll down through the proposal, will see what each change was. So on this one, this was the original amount. We have the credit here because we replaced it with this articulating arm mount. So we make it really clear to your customer to see how the project changed over time. And that's it for our proposal deep dive video. If you have any questions, you know where to find us.